you dared to dream really do come true. One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Who was that written by?
Well, it was spoken by William Hartnell,
Don't know him.
Doctor Who.
Oh,
In the final scene, he was leaving. Actually got fired from the job, but we won't mention that. Regenerating into the second Doctor. So that was his speech. One day I shall come back. All aboard. "17 degrees. Hello, Danny G. You winner, you. Top of the pile. King of the road. We're doing good. We had a good day today. We celebrated three birthdays in the family, even though they're days apart. Son, daughter, and son-in-law. So the wife made a German feast. Yeah, she did. How do you call those pancakes in German?
Pfannkuchen.
Feine Korka.
Pfannkuchen.
Oh, sorry, I didn't say it right. Feine Korka. And Kartoffel
Salat.
Salat, Kartoffel Salat.
And of course they all fought over who was taking the leftovers home and how much.
Man, I reckon they took more home than they ate. We cooked a heap. I know they each had 5 containers each.
But I purposely did that because all that stuff I don't make that often.
Give you an idea, Danny, she cooked up. Oh no, you didn't cook the last of the mince, did you?
No, I didn't end up
So
using
she
the other
cooked
kilo.
5 pounds of mince alone. You remember there was like
8 of us.
8 adults. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah.
6 adults.
6 adults.
adults, 2 children. Well, you may as well class William as
Well, yeah, he is like
a mini.
So there was all the German food,
Corn fritters.
corn fritters, just corn, flour, and egg. And fried in a pan. Ooh, they're coming up nice and crunchy. Yeah. So that was good. She got her cook on, yeah. And all I did was sit back and I didn't do anything really. I was sort of shivering in the corner, not being able to get near to my stove, and I was sort of marooned in a world of pain. No, I was just kidding. It was good.
Having withdrawals.
No, it's good. And we have one baby here. Youngest granddaughter was here. She basically slept most of the time, didn't she? Yeah. Her other granddaughter, who basically is a reincarnation of Napoleon.
Oh, gosh.
She wants to rule the world.
Man, when she gets too much sugar in her.
Bouncing off the walls. And then we had a cake,
That was nice.
which had more cream in it. And it was funny because it was a massive chocolate cake, about, I don't know, 6 inches high. 3 individual layers of cream in there. Lots of chocolate stuff on top.
Actually, you can send Danny the video later.
Oh, I could do, yeah, a little
And then
short video.
pass it on to
Yeah, I could do
Buttercup
that.
and me too, please.
I did a little video. I'll send that to you, Danny. But after all that cream and chocolate hit the plate, Mystic Angel says, I might go and get some cream and put it on top.
I would have had extra cream.
It was good. They got here about, I don't know, just before lunchtime. Didn't leave till 5. So good day. I will send you that video. Only goes for about 30 seconds. And it was a nice day.
So
Quite a-
how old? So 37, 33, and I think, I'm not sure about Mark, 40, 41?
I think so, something like that, yeah.
We would have sat outside and ate, but the flies.
Actually, we came outside for a lot. The kids played that, I don't know what you'd call it. Quoits is what it used to be called.
That
Quoits.
hoop game.
Heavy, sort of ropey rings thrown at a spiky thing with very little accuracy involved.
Yeah, well, I had our own rules for that game anyway.
Hello from California, where the West was one. Where men were men, and now girls are men. I'm only kidding. California. Dun, 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 dun. Ba, 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 ba. It's like different worlds in America. We've known people for quite a while in different states. It's literally like there's about 50 individual planets. Some of them people are a little bit different than the other people.
Hey, the kids are ready just to help themselves. They just slept in the...
No, kids just find a spot and crash.
Yeah. I'll get those photos off Jess and then I can pass them on to you, Danny.
Did you give the we don't forgive our kids or grandkids the grand tour. They just go and look anyway. They've been here in and out of the process. So. We just realised today, though, Danny, we're getting this nice lounge. But the only way to really bring it in is to come over the top of that limestone wall for the ramp and bring it through here. And we were going to get a ballast rail put on, nice cast iron ballast rail. And I thought, maybe we should wait until after we get the lounge, because I can't see how we'd lift it over the top of the ballast rail. So I have to speak to my ballast rail man during the week and say, still want you to do it, but not just yet, probably another month, because it would be real awkward. And we had a visit from my other son yesterday. The curfew for that district has been lifted, so he came up.
Yeah, but he still had to go through a checkpoint, remember?
Yeah.
Yes, we had Emily, William, Luella, Sophia, and then Penny and Milo in that bed.
Well, they didn't sleep in the bed, Danny. We warned them. We said, you may lie on top of it. But if Danny G finds out, your life will not be worth living. I smeared it with bacon after they finished, so it would confuse you when you come in. Bacon. All thoughts of someone sleeping in the bed.
And how were the dogs when I went to Paji Sophia?
I was sitting on one of the chairs in the lounge, and Mr. Gangel picked up baby Sophia, about to hand it to me, and the two dogs jumped on my lap and sort of said, that's not happening. Is this a soundproof room? Because I'm going to scream.
Yep, go for it.
I mean, let me guess, has it got something to do with a shawarma-eating Yeti? I'm just guessing. Every time you come in here with these anxieties, it's usually for one reason. I can see Jojo opening the windows, sticking his head outside, saying, I'm not taking it anymore. Great speech from the movie Newsfront, of course.
It'll be early morning for you, JJ.
It will be something like 6 a.m., I'm guessing.
It's 7:30 here.
No, it could be 5:30 there, actually. Or even maybe 4:30. Yeah, so we got sport on the weekend. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 of our grandkids and
4.
4 of our grandkids. 5. Oh, 5. 5 of our grandkids we had. And 1, 2, 3 of our kids, plus their partners.
Oh, you'll have to read Danny's message. I don't even know how to pronounce that name.
What's that?
Read Danny's message.
Okay, we have a patient who is from Pompeii.
Oh, Pompeii.
Sorry, Sorry, mine.
No.
I can't. My eyes aren't that good. I'm thinking it's Pohnpei. That's in the Pacific, just above Australia. Never heard of it actually. And if it's in the Pacific, it won't be above Australia. It'll be to the east. Above Australia is New Guinea, Indonesia. Never heard of Pohnpei. Is that a new island? Did you make that island up? Did you build that out of styrofoam, cover it with sand? Yeah, stuck in your house. All that work. Well, I wouldn't say it's back to full normal here in my state, but pretty damn close. We don't have any cases. There's no one in hospital. Our borders are still closed for travel from anywhere, even from the other side of Australia. But everyone's going about their business, still being cautious. All of the kids are back at school. Restaurants are opening, cafes. Micronesia. Yeah, that's probably closer to the Philippines.
Indonesia.
No, it's the east side of Papua New Guinea. Go up a bit, Micronesia. It's got thousands of islands, I think, Micronesia, Danny. Don't get to see a lot of those people come to Australia. They stay in their own area. We do have visits from different sport teams, including them, and from Polynesia, Micronesia, and, the Pacific Islands. Yeah, if you looked at Queensland, the pointy bit on top of Queensland, and you head north, and a little bit sort of east, you'll find Micronesia. It's those thousands of islands in the middle of sort of nowhere. I think there are US bases there. Well, there's US bases everywhere, isn't there? Yes, we just about have very few people, active cases in Australia now. None at all in my state, none in South Australia, none in the Northern Territory. There's virtually just a few in Victoria, Queensland and New South Wales. Good day, Tony. And like saying, we had family gatherings yesterday and today. So we're sort of getting back to normal with the families, so that's good. Hope you're having a good weekend, Tony. That's no good. Yeah, we've actually, literally, in my state of about 3 million people, roughly, we've had one West Australian die from the virus. One. The rest have all been overseas, people off boats or travelling back from overseas, visiting. We had one ship in our port for about a month and a half. I think 4 or 5 died off that. Non-Australians, with the Australian recorded deaths. Yeah, pretty sure most of the East Coast lakes, really just Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria, are having little spits and spats. But basically no one's really in hospital. I think there's about 8 in hospital in the whole of Australia. I could be wrong, but that's the last figure I heard a couple of days ago. But I think because we're all going back to normality, sort of, there'll be a few spikes for sure. There'll be people asymptomatic. in a working environment. That's what I see, like groups of 30 or 40 people unfortunately getting the virus due to one person not even knowing they have the virus. That's how I think it will unfold in Australia. But some countries' figures are just horrendous. But sport gets underway in Australia again soon. The NRL, which is our rugby league. Be different, there's no crowds, but it's definitely kicking back, and same with the AFL. You're welcome in. You're welcome, Danny. And look, I tell you what, it's not as if, Tony will back me up here, most Australians were taking measures before we were told to do it. Kids were being pulled out of schools. People were not going to work. And then we got the message from the government saying, like, don't send your kids to school and don't go to work. Until you're hanging upside down. So what it is, even now, even though things are opening up, Danny, it's like everyone's still being cautious. Some people aren't. Some people are just forgetting, the younger generation, of course. But most people you see walking around sort of have that little reverse magnet effect. They sort of try and stay away from each other. And that's not going anywhere. I think Australians are pretty much realists when it comes to, the virus isn't going anywhere. We've just got on top of it. And until there's a complete cure for it, just be careful. So all our sport will start again shortly without crowds. And then there'll be a limited amount of people going into a stadium, I think. But it won't be normal sport, I think, until next year. And I think, our state governments have acted quite well. Sounds a bit harsh on some occasions, but it's for the best for everyone, not just the best for a few. We have had a national response to the virus. We have a national cabinet of all the leaders from different states, and they all have input, and they don't all agree, and they all agree that when certain levels are met, that they can open at different speeds. That's fine, and that's what we're doing in my state. But it's a national response. To give you an idea, if one state, like say New South Wales, had a spike of 50 kids in a school, nationally, they closed the schools again. Well, I'll be honest with you, Danny. Just about no one wear masks here at all. And I think the truth is that this is transmission by surface, mainly, your hands. Because, I don't know where Tony lives, but I know roughly where he lives, but here in my state, I think I've seen a couple of old people in wheelchairs wear a mask. Remember that old guy? Mm-hmm. But rarely anyone. So masks haven't been the tool to protect each other from it. What it has been is distancing and not, gathering in numbers. And I think most people are washing their hands. I've seen them in the car parks where they'll pull out a little sanitizer after they've been shopping and wipe their hands, wipe the steering wheel. That's quite common. But I think it is transmitted mainly by surface. That's my conclusion. Am I a scientist? No. But that's what I think is the case. We have a J. King. Hello, J. King. All schools will be open very, very shortly, I think, J. King. The Queensland Premier, Anna, is doing a little bit different, but she's still a national response.
Who's that?
Anna Palaszczuk. I think schools open up next week sometime in Queensland. But our kids are back at school full-time in WA. Our borders are closed. You can't come into my state. Can't go into anyone's state, actually. So we have isolated the country. We have isolated the state. And even in my state, I'm sure it's the same elsewhere, you've isolated districts. One of our daughters lives north by about 500k. And I think Monday, she has the ability to come down to where we are. But masks, no. Hardly anyone in Australia has worn masks. Only one day a week. You ordered masks with holes in them. Right. You sure they weren't crotchless knickers that someone sold you? But I don't think anyone here is taking it as a given that we've, finished with this thing. Most universities are not going to open up for the fall. The regular school, I'm not sure. My daughter is teaching California, they don't have word yet. Like I say, I don't want to be overcritical in America of how this was approached, but stupid comes to mind. I suppose that's been a bit critical. There's been no cohesion. There's been no, national plan. The blame game, that doesn't do anything. It doesn't help anyone. Look, we've got to be brutal with you. Australians, they en masse think our government, the federal government and the state governments have done a great job. Do we agree with the policies of the federal and state governments? No. We can still, after this is done, we'll still bash them and crash them and get rid of them. But the people that have been in the jobs, that have been doing what they're doing, have done well. And it's been national response. That's where the failing in countries that just been doing their own shit. Who on earth would open up going back to work, communities, pubs, bars, restaurants, if the virus is still peaking? I'll go back to my first word, stupid. Clorox. Actually, Jojo, I've spoken to leading scientists on this matter. They have a cure for the virus already. All it is, and there's no medications involved, you only have to hold your breath for 32 minutes. And apparently, that will kill the virus. Guaranteed.
You took a JoJo joke.
Yes. Got a damn piano. We're not even hearing from some countries like Africa, West Africa.
Can't find anything on Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Your leader told you so.
Righto, Tony. The wife will have a star on standby for you.
Yes, the star.
Actually, my eldest son visited us yesterday. I gave him a choice. He could have a T-bone steak, it was a big bugger, or a chicken schnitzel, which was even bigger. And he settled for the chicken schnitzel. And he ate everything.
Oh, well, Mel's working, but he is taking it easy getting gardening done because of her back.
Very musically placed there, Danny.
Yeah, sometimes, I don't know if it's a couple of weeks a month.
Dr. Fauci,
Mel has
tell them some lies.
quite a lot of work.
Just keep them ignorant and feed them with fries. Dr. Fauci, tell them some lies.
Yeah, but some people say he tells the truth.
I think he,
Plays the game.
on average, has been just as confusing. because
Yeah.
he's been trying to toe the line with the mad leader and yet try and get some medical advice out. Now, of course, he will get the boot. You can't tell them the truth, man. What do you think you're doing? Are you mad? I'm going to let you join a long list of people I've fired. Dr. Fauci, you're fired.
I don't know, the name Dr. Fauci sounds like something from a movie.
Could be Dr. Fuccia, could be the way they speak in Italiano. I don't think I've seen a pantomime where everyone gets the boot because the pirate king basically says, you see that sky, it's green, but boss, it's blue. I said it's green. Oh, it's a nice green day, boss, yeah. I don't judge political leaders by their colour in regards to I'm right wing, left wing, blue, I'm red. I've never judged a politician based on that, just based on performance. And some of the performances of leaders around the world, like the leader of Brazil, I never forget watching about 2 weeks ago when a reporter said, aren't you concerned about the deaths in Brazil? He shrugged his shoulders and said, what am I to do? Really?
Yeah, that's right, Danny. Because they're just not, there's some good stories out there too, but they're just not reporting them. You have a Space Force.
Yes. I think those things are called a distraction, Jojo. Let's write the Star Wars again. Get the old video of Reagan. Yeah, get that out. Yeah. Well, we have been invaded by an alien. The people from planet COVID. There were 19 of them that landed on Earth. And the disc slowly unturned. Ooh, la. May as well have been. And the aliens of COVID came to Australia and landed. And the Australians said, go, mate, fuck off. Seriously. Oh, all right then, we'll go to America and Brazil and the rest of the world. I would never attack like a local leader, like in a county or things like that. They're given guidelines. They're told. Look, most people in any position of leadership are probably not ready to undertake such a momentous task as the whole world collapsing through a virus. So I sympathise with what they have to stand up for. You know, send everyone back to work? No. Have people screaming and rioting in the street because they're hungry? No. So a lot of these regional leaders in counties, states, governors, you know, they're between a hard rock and a stone. In Australia, no one is going hungry. No one is going out without money. And that's proved to be one of the things that have let Australians at least still be pissed off about being locked away for so long, I'll be honest. But they're not angry, they're not hungry, and they're getting paid. I think that's been one of the successes in doing this. Not sure about the monkey to the moon, but one did go in space. Yes. I've watched American politics for a very long time. You could say we're fully open other than filling restaurants and filling hotels and pubs.
Cafes.
They're allowed 10, but that comes undone at the end of this month where it's just about going to be normal.
Hairdressers?
All the hairdressers are open.
Okay. Nail places?
All of them, yeah.
So cafes and restaurants?
Bars are open. They're limited with numbers, but that what it is, it's going to be a limitation of, say, a couple of weeks, and then it'll open up, and even in most of the places, though, people have undertaken removing tables, distancing people from away from each other, different ordering systems, like only paying by card, things like that, Danny. So there's been change and transition in the way that people are going to do business, and that's permanent. You know, you no longer will go to, I will no longer take you out to a dinner in a nice restaurant and take any cash with me. That won't happen.
We'll make Danny pay then.
We'll make you pay instead. Oh, your missus is still not open. Are you still allowed within 5 feet, Jojo? So some things will be normal, but not like the normal we knew. Cash won't be used much. Cash will still be used, don't get me wrong, but not as much. You'll have to wait for a booking for a restaurant. Like if I take Danny out to dinner, I'll phone up and say, I would like to have dinner about 7. They'd say, no, I'm sorry, nothing's available till 8:15. And when some people leave the restaurant, there's a time slot, me and Danny are going to have dinner. Maybe an hour later, they say, Danny, stop talking, take the big hairy Sasquatch with you and get out of the restaurant. If you want to, you know, keep yakking, do it on the street. So that will be normal. No, I'll take you out for dinner. I said I would, but it'll be at a time and a place suited by the restaurant, not just walking off the street. Australians have been pretty good in supporting local business. Everybody tells me they are ordering once or twice a week from their local area restaurants just to keep their money ticking over. So that's been good. But the new normal is not that different. It's just different applications and ways that we'll have to do things. And we'll get used to it. You know, the sanitizer everywhere you go, that will be normal, that will remain. Oh, it's good. As long as the system is open for business, you'll be good. Yes, I believe the Cabana boys actually slowly melt the chocolate on your belly button and rub it all over your body, and then ask if you want seconds. That's if your heart can hold together, Danny. But the thing that we've noticed is the mood of people. It's not been down or angry or anything like that, but certainly their spirits are lifted now that things are moving back to a new normal. But like I say, don't think for 1 minute we think that this has gone anywhere. It's suppressed, and if we're smart, it will only spike in small groups.
It reminds me, I saw the orange cat the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember it's direct.
The grey one's the biggest one. He's huge.
Well, it's just we haven't seen any of them for so long. They're probably isolated themselves.
No, I think they're self-isolating. It's been part of the feline movement. Not allowed within 12 paws of each other. Not to share their cat food.
Yeah.
Do they stop making Corona?
Huh.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, that won't stick. People will still drink. But there's been video of Aussies gathering in pubs again and celebrating and smiling and eating in the pubs, but in numbers that are controlled. It will only take 2 to 4 weeks, and if there are no major spikes, you'll look at Australia as if nothing happened.
So the brewery stopped making Corona because the name. Is that what they did?
They called their new beer COVID. All you do with COVID beer is take the top up and put a dose of disinfectant in it. It's good to go. COVID, COVID-19, yeah. There was an old movie, not that old, but it was titled The Year of Living Dangerously. That's 2020. That's a nice little sort of top cowboy Clorox to finish it down. Some of the stories we're going to hear in the next few years of families and the members of their family that passed away during this time, the nurses, the doctors, all the things that we don't see. I for one, not only admire anyone working in the medical field, from janitor to head physician, to people working in reception, to ambulance drivers. They have undergone something that they won't again see in their lifetime. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of trauma attached to this. You can't have these things unfold in front of you and think for one moment you go back to normal. There's a lot of stress that's going to be released by these people, and most people in medical professions will have people talking to people all the time, saying, would you want to talk? You know, are you having trouble sleeping? Things like this. But these have a long drawn-out effect. It's a bit like going into battle. Even in battle sometimes, I've known soldiers who went to Vietnam and said, yep, I'm pretty sure I killed people. Never saw them. And I did see a few dead bodies.
See you, Jojo.
See you, Jojo. So a lot of that wasn't always in the open and clear. But if you work in a hospital, imagine being just an orderly every day in New York, wheeling down 1,000 people to morgues or temporary morgues, when normally you might do 5 or 10 a day. You can't tell me that doesn't play on their mind. So we're going to hear stories from people struggling for years. But it's true in life. If you've seen things that maybe shouldn't be seen, but you have, you can't unsee them. For different areas. It's like people don't even think about the garbage men picking up rubbish. Well, you can guarantee on every pile of rubbish from people's homes, some of them will have the virus attached to certain items. I haven't heard any people clap for the garbage man. You see what I'm saying? There's a whole line of people that have not been forgotten, but they're not thought of. Yep, you did right, Danny. And there's even like the secondary effect of someone passing away. A nephew, an auntie, a niece, a wife, a husband. You won't hear any of those stories now, but the trauma they're going through and been through or going through now is unimaginable for most people. But we will get through this, and this will be just like other cataclysmic events
We haven't
on Earth.
heard from Chamo or Gringo lately.
No, haven't heard from Chamo or old Ringo. Maybe they're touring.
Well, last week we didn't go on much.
No, we're actually busy with family, which is good. It's and Danny would know this, working in the medical field, it's the strength of others around you that gets you through. Or it could be you that is supplying the pillar of strength. But it happens in small little groups of people that look out for each other. They call them even when they're not working, ask them how the kids are, how's everything going, So small groups, just like being in a platoon, there are divisions, and in those divisions there might be just groups of 10 or 20. They look after each other the best they can. But I do hope above everything else, and I mean this sincerely, is that some of the feelings people have felt by being locked down and then helping other people and understanding that the world is not made up of only their hopes and desires, but everyone has them, that maybe we'll have, even if it's only a small increase, a new virus called kindness that may remain. That would be a wonderful thing. I saw that, Danny, yeah, it was terrible. Some of the actions of some people, not all, have been wonderful. You know, the way people deal with an unusual situation is usually panic, first of all, and worry and anxiety, and particularly our elder people in society. Most countries and most people, the stories I've heard, people have been talking to strangers and neighbours and old folk and shopping for them and getting them food, dropping off a meal, even just saying hello. Well, that's how the world used to be. Maybe this virus has exposed what we've become as a society. Self-centred, selfish, and the only concern is for the next video game or the next show on HBO or that new dress or shoes or that new golf set, when the world is actually made up of people, not things. So hopefully a small virus of kindness will be left behind. That'll be something nice to see. Let's hope it spreads rapidly. I can imagine, Danny, I really can. I remember protocol in regards to having a number of HIV prisoners, changed the structure, the methods, protocol, how, when, what was done to an enormous extent. People won't even know some of the things that you've had to do, implement, follow, procedure, change, and everyone makes mistakes. People were walking through a door without a glove on. Someone would say, you realise what you've done? So I can imagine a lot of that has taken a lot of extra time, a lot of extra hassle for people, because human nature is just to follow instincts. I don't think a lot of those changes are going to go, Danny. I think in what we're seeing, some of the results, and I've been looking at different avenues of this virus in regards to like pneumonia in Australia. In my state, every April, we have about 1,100 to 1,400 people contract the flu, and it becomes pneumonia, and about 3 or 4% of them die. They could be older people, could just be young, vulnerable people. So we're talking about normally 30 to 40 people die every April in my state from the flu. So 1,100 to 1,400. That's been going on for every April for a very long time. In my state, this April, because of social distancing based on COVID-19, we've had 20 cases of pneumonia and no deaths. So we lost 9 people in my state. 8 of them didn't come from my state, they came from overseas. And we lost 1 West Australian, but we normally lose 30 to 40 West Australians to the flu. We've lost none. So if you want to be a statistician, you could say, well, the COVID-19 saved about 40 lives in my state in April, if you want to twist facts and figures, but that's the truth. 30 or 40 people did not die through the seasonal flu because they all kept social distancing, didn't pass the flu on to each other. So it's a strange outcome. Yeah, Change is always hard within an institution because everybody has to make it work.
Tony must have gone to have a shower.
Tony's back.
Yep, there you go.
He's probably gone out the backyard, chucked on the hose, looked at his neighbour and said, "What are you looking at?"
There's your stars, Tony.
But I think if those stats in my state are replicated around the world, it will prove people need to be more hygienic, more cautious about approaching people and keep distances. It's called proxemics. And it may become one of the strange facts that maybe in a few years, more lives were saved than lost because we changed how we live and how we approach the world. Now, it sounds weird, doesn't it? That the amount of deaths, and there's been well over 300,000 deaths around the world. Imagine if there are less people dying of the flu, less people dying of other transmitted diseases. But it would only take a few years, and we would have saved more lives than we've lost during this virus. Does that put a positive spin on it? I hope so. It would be wonderful to know that the flu has been reduced because of transmission, because of people being aware of the distancing between each other and circumstances. Like, you know, if your auntie phones up coughing and spluttering and sneezing and says, "I'll be over Sunday for roast," you will probably say now, "Stay home, auntie, we'll send some round to you." Yeah, you did right. It's already proved it here in April. It's staggering because I thought the figures were wrong, so I checked out myself. There are normally 1,100 to 1,400 cases of pneumonia. About 30 to 40 people die in my state in April every year. No one's died, and only 20 people contracted pneumonia. Those statistics are staggering. That is based on probably cleanliness being improved, hand washing,
It should have been
social
done
distancing.
from the time you're born.
I hope to highlight it is what I'm saying, because a lot of people can be saved from suffering by hygiene.
But that's what I mean. Hygiene and cleanliness is something that should be normal, that should be every day and taught from birth, not when something catastrophic happens.
There's a saying that's annoyed me for about 30 or 40 years is when people use these words, "I haven't got time." They can include a myriad of things, but did you wash your hands? "Oh, I haven't got time."
Oh,
You've got the flu and you come to work. "Yeah, well, it's okay." Well, no. It will be normal now. I will guarantee this. It will be normal now that if you've got a cough, a flu, if you go to work, it could be a civil charge against you. And how much do you put on the price of a person's life? If someone has to stay off for a week and recover, and come to work and not spread the flu, you're probably saving more money than you're losing. In Australia, in a normal job, it's between 4 to 6 weeks annual leave that you get paid for. You are allowed between, I think it's 10 and 15 days sick leave. All these are paid. If you're sick in Australia and you don't go to work, you get paid. If you work all year, you get 4 to 6 weeks. I used to have 8 weeks annual leave, but 4 to 6 is more the average, all paid for. The government also implemented back in the 80s superannuation laws. So every week you work in Australia, about 9 or 10%, say you earn $1,000, well, you'll get $100 put in superannuation.
Yeah, that's right.
And you don't pay for it, the employer does.
That's right, Danny. Just when they started about wash this, wash that, I mean, well, even when I was a kid, went to school, before you went anywhere, you had to wash your hands before you went in the classroom.
Well, Danny, I do hope the health authorities do a different angle. Let's say COVID is under control, maybe even a vaccine. Let's say that. Well, the common flu is not. I want them to highlight the number of people who contract it, who die from it, and how social distancing saved people from getting pneumonia, the flu.
I'd be highlighting that in a big way, meaning you've got to keep up your hygiene rules that you're doing now. You've got to keep using this hand sanitizer. So I'd be quick off the mark if I was in the government to be saying, okay guys, we saw what happened with this, but we've seen the reduction in pneumonia because of people being aware of distancing between each other. Let's push this. Let's not lose more people to the common flu. Hello, Scarlett. But you can be guaranteed, and I'll guarantee this tonight, as soon as sport, in however format it is played, is back on people's televisions, the newsreaders will be saying a little bit about the COVID-19. They'll be talking about how the pitcher played magnificently, the quarterback did great, the basketball star will go back to normal that way, for sure.
We haven't been on much lately, Scarlett, doing things with family, around the house. We've been
good.
busy,
It's been
yeah.
good catching up with kids, grandkids. But I hope they do that, Danny. I hope they highlight the real facts about the common flu. Look, even the common cold, because it was never an issue. But when you think about what I said in my state, 1,100 to 1,400 get pneumonia in April every year, and about 30 or 40 die, wouldn't it be nice if that figure was 0? And we know how we achieved that figure, because during this COVID-19 virus, we adhered to social distancing. People cleaned their hands day and night. But I'll be honest with you, people, Australians have not worn masks. It's a rarity to see someone with a mask. Australians, however, clean their damn hands every time they go out and back. Some people wear gloves. That's probably been the biggest thing.
Yeah, even that's got less so.
Well, like I say, it's for me, and again, I'm not a scientist, but it's the virus being left on surfaces
That's like
that's
when
been spread.
one of our politicians had the coughing fit in Parliament the other day, and they picked him up though that he forgot to cough in his elbow, eh?
Masks have never been compulsory here, Scarlett. Australians have been wearing gloves. Masks, not so much.
But you got to utilise the gloves correctly. You sort of don't wear your gloves from home and then back home. You take them off before you get back in your car and stuff like that.
There is a way to remove gloves, and Danny would do it every day. I used to do it every day, and we still even do it now. You've got gloves on, whichever hand you want to remove first. You take your first glove down to the halfway down to the fingertips. You then grab the other glove completely, and you pull it off, and then you just put it into a bundle, and you're only touching the inside of the glove. That's something Danny was taught, and I was taught a long time ago. No point wearing gloves if you take them off incorrectly.
Scarlett meant to say can't go anywhere without a mask where she is.
No, we've never had. The masks have not been the issue. Social distancing is what we've done, and gloves. I've seen people wearing garden gloves. I think in the future, again, I'm not a scientist, they will realise the transmission in major cities in particular because of stairwells, elevators, handles, people touched day and night would have been the main spread of the disease through surface spreading. I can only say that based on the fact that no one in Australia has really worn a mask, but lots of Australians have worn gloves.
So, what's opened up in your area Scarlett and Danny, if anything.
Well, Texas was opening up. I did read that. When you open up on the 20th, Scarlett, is that a stage of opening? Certain things will still not be open. That's what we're doing in Australia. We're already into stage 2. The third stage is back to normal. Everything's really open here, but with limitations. I think that's
Yeah, still
really
no
the key.
travel though to other states either here.
No, but that will be soon.
Yeah. They're, especially from Adelaide and Sydney, other states just don't want the borders open yet.
In stages, I'll explain. Stage 1 would be sending schools open, increasing public transport, making sure people know that they need to social distance on public transport. Bus drivers won't stop if they've got X amount of people on board their bus. That's how it will be. Stage 2, we're in now. Restaurants, pubs, hotels are open with limited seating, with social distancing the rule. Everything else is sort of open. Businesses are open. Building, that's all back. Stage 3 is normal life, but with social distancing in rural places permanently. So you can have full restaurants and full hotels, but if you're going to, say, pay your bill, there'll be 5 feet dots. You'll have to wait. And if you want to order at McDonald's or whatever, there'll be 5 feet spacing. So a lot of things will be normal, but the procedures of doing normality would have changed. And everyone here accepts that. That's just how it will be. Will it be a bit slower? Probably. But after a while, it will become normal. One of the problems of any sort of pandemic or virus, even just a common virus spread in a town, is everything's okay until it happens to you. Then people take it seriously. It's that mentality of humans which has been our undoing, that it's okay until we get it. So if you don't care about the people who've got it, because you haven't got it, well, it doesn't mean you're not going to get it. But all the state leaders and the federal government have started off months ago saying to everyone, we want you to think that you have the virus. And as a caring citizen, mother, father, whatever, you don't want to spread it. So that thought's been in Australians' mind for months. Just thinking that, okay, what if I have it? How can I stop other people from getting it? No, you can't have animals and just leave them. That's never on. Some people do, of course, but yeah, that's about where we're up to here, Danny, with stores at the moment. Good morning, VMAC. But stage 3 will be back to normal, but distancing. People have to change the structure of their businesses, how they do business. What time they do business. There'll be more of the old school. Remember when, if I took VMAC out for dinner, to say, VMAC, dinner at 6, you'd say, yeah, just check with the restaurant first. The restaurant would say, no, I can't book you until 8. That will be normal now, but it's because when people are booking and left after they've eaten and that table, and the rules here are you can open up, but every time after someone sits and eats,
It gets cleaned.
it gets sanitised. Have a good day, Danny.
See, Danny?
So that will be normal, and that will be extra time, which means extra expense. So going out will be a little bit more expensive, for sure.
What's that noise? That high pitched. You hear that?
I think it's the aliens. So yeah, it's, if you go out in my area in the Perth now, looks normal, but everyone's not cramming in.
Oh, it's the Victoria Day for VMAC.
Ah, celebrating
And
the
how
Queen of England from 1900,
and how are you
calling a whole province after her.
how are you feeling, VMAC? Because I know it's different for you. First time ever, this one.
But we had the family over today, and the wife did all the cooking, German food. And the kids, being kids, as we know our kids, took away more food than they ate. They had 5 containers each. I remember telling a bloke, because he was getting really annoyed about being limited and doing, like, can't go fishing and I said, mate, just imagine, just for one moment, it hasn't happened. Imagine you broke your leg. You can't go anywhere for 6 to 8 weeks. Just imagine that happened. And you probably wouldn't complain too much or get as angry. And no, you haven't got a broken leg. But just imagine you did. So in 6 to 8 week time, you can go back fishing. We can fish here. Fishing's opening. Parks are open.
Not playgrounds yet.
Not the playgrounds within the park, as in kids'
No.
equipment, but the parks are open. It's one of those things here, people have just been smart. Like, I know if we rocked up to our local supermarket or other supermarkets that we go to and it was full, we would just drive away.
Still, Bunnings still got me this whole time.
Yeah, they'd kind of go, oh, VMAC. Imagine if you landed on the beaches of Omaha in 1945. You would have just said, it's only a flesh wound. But Sergeant, they've blown your leg off. It's nothing. I can hop my way through northern Germany. Kind of man, girl we want on the front. It's been tough for a lot of people, just the basic restrictions, not catching up with family. Like the first month of this was hard, because we always see our kids. Yeah, we do the same all the time, VMAX. Like, we once went to Bunnings, and we thought this is the quiet time of day. Bunnings is a big hardware store. And we just turned around, drove away.
Yeah.
But I did say a long time ago, this, because it's such a rapid closure around the globe, in most places, people not working, businesses closing, lots of businesses are not going to reopen. You're all going to be telling me stories in the next few months of how this is closed and it didn't reopen. And in a certain workplace, there's only 5 staff instead of 20. That's how it's going to be, supply and demand. You can't run a restaurant with your normal staff if you can't have the normal amount of patrons. And a lot of people are going to be a bit wary about spending money. A lot of people on the border of losing everything realise that maybe it's smart to have a little bit of a nest egg.
Yeah, I miss the once a week or so going doing coffee with the daughters. We make this on Friday night, Mrs. Friends with at the pub.
Oh yeah, it's good. Like, it's one of those things stolen from you, VMAC. Like, you're used to it. Just a couple of drinks with friends, laughter, and maybe a meal, and then go home. And that's been taken away from you. Yeah, any business that was borderline will not recover. Which, I mean, this sounds cruel. To be kind, those businesses doing okay will get better,
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah.
So there is a loss and there is a win.
What's meant to be will be.
Not sure if all of you have been following what China has been threatening Australia with, because we were one of the first countries to demand an open response into the research of how and why this virus took place. China's response to Australia is, we're going to stop importing your iron ore, gas, coal, meat, wine. Stop sending tourists to Australia. And you think I'd be making that up. But instead of saying, yes, we agree we should have an open investigation to see how this happened so it doesn't happen again, no. They're saying, shut your mouth, toe the line, or China won't buy anything from you. Unilaterally, every Australian I've spoke to said, tell China to shove it up its arse. Yeah, we'll go down a bit, we'll recover. There's X amount of things for X amount of people on the planet, we just got to find new customers. If China thinks threatening Australia will work, they picked the wrong country. It's going to really come back and bite them. We're not a big player on the world stage, but my goodness, there are plenty of bigger countries that are going to kick them in the arse. Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know if some of you remember, many months ago, I did a video saying, shut the world down on the 1st of April and open again on the 1st of May. Am I a medical genius? Am I a scientific whiz? No. But if we would have done that, there would have been a lot more people alive today. Because it's been procrastinated, some things were shut down, some things were left open. We had a terrible reaction to that on the planet. Shut the damn thing down. And we're still going to have spikes and we're still going to have outbreaks. This, you know, when the virus ends is because the virus has run its course or we've got a vaccine for it. Virus is not going anywhere until it's ready, no matter how much we would like it to. I think you'll hear it shortly, VMAC. Our countries are very similar in many ways. Primary producers on many levels. Mining. I think trade between Canada and Australia is going to increase. We already have British envoys in Australia determining what and how much of our stuff they're going to buy. There are going to be trade lateral agreements with the old Commonwealth pick up. India is very keen, even though it's no longer in the Commonwealth, to participate in a regional dispersal of not relying on China. We are all seeing the consequences of relying on China to produce things and stuff that we need and buy. This is a wake-up call for the whole world. Instead of relying on one basket with all your eggs in it, let's get back to having several baskets with several piles of eggs in it. And I do know trade between Canada and Australia is going to increase. Vice versa, we'll be buying more from Canada. There's a very good chance the relationship between China and Australia is going to sour badly in the aspect that China's not going to expect. We may prohibit Chinese from arriving in Australia unless you have family. These things are being talked about right now. Ending Chinese investment in Australia. Investment means progress, we all know that, but if we don't have to progress at such a speed to suit the Chinese investor, that's okay by us. So the retaliation for China waving a big stick, as I said in that little video,
To strangle the chicken to scare the monkey is not going to work. It's not going to work in Australia. It's not going to work in Canada. I don't think it'll work at all in the US. So what do I see happening? I see trade sanctions against China, just like you see against Iran and North Korea. People I've spoken to said, oh, no, that won't happen. I'm saying, watch, because it always happens on a political stadium first. Then the trade war truly begins. Well, it doesn't matter how or where, but any country that denies access to the truth can be seen as a liar. You can say whatever you like, but if you're not willing to expose the truth on how and why this thing started, the rest of the world's not going to trust you. And you threatening the rest of the world, telling them to shut up or we'll stop buying your goods, that's not going to work. Yeah, you'll see the difference. We do buy goods, but we may be buying Canadian T-shirts, Canadian products manufactured, vice versa. In other words, trade is just what it is. It's trade of goods and services. If it happens you move from one area to another, that's okay. I'm sure Canadians are just like Australians. We're very diverse. Floods, we get over it. It's tough. Move forward. Well, the truth be known, virologists could tell you that at any given time there are thousands of viruses. It's the ones that mutate to be transgressed from animal to humans that cause the damage. People think that there's only this one. No, there are thousands of them. If you keep playing with them, doing the wrong thing. See, in Australia, if we do, and we do have wet fish markets, we do, but they're not run like Chinese. They're all on ice in cold rooms. You go around and buy what you like. It's freezing. That's our type of wet market. If the Chinese continue just to allow the open slaughter and non-refrigeration of goods, etc., and that may have caused the issue, let's say that was the issue, and they don't do anything to rectify it, they're culpable for negligence, if you know what I mean. If this is the reason why and how it occurred, that's what China says, that's how it happened, but we're not going to change our methods and we're just going to keep things going as they are culpable and negligent, just like driving under the influence of alcohol. So there's a reckoning coming, and China spouting threats to Australia is just the first step. They picked a very small chicken to strangle in Australia, but the monkeys aren't scared down here. God help them when they start trying it with Canada, the US, Europe. There's going to be a backlash that they haven't seen. I truly believe they're going to wake up one morning, read their newspapers saying the world has held trade sanctions against China. No longer want their imports, will not supply raw materials. We know who's going to lose in the long run. It won't be Australia. You want to play a game of chicken? Even using the idiom as an example. You want to play a game of chicken? Australians are ready. Trust me.
Well, if they expand stuff to go to Canada from Australia, hopefully they'll send you the Chiquito bar, VMAC.
And our crayfish, our lobster, you know, they got plenty there. Ours are better, let's be honest. You know, Australians are pragmatic in their thinking. They don't care where this damn virus started. We really don't. We want to know why and where and how to stop it happening again. And I think 99% of the planet would agree with what I just said. We want to know where it started, how it started, and how the hell we can stop it happening again. That's it. To the Chinese to literally threaten Australia, saying, don't ask, we won't tell, or we'll stop trading with you. Trust me, if that was evidence brought before a court in a murder case, the judge would be thinking, that's a bit dubious. You know, not allowed to say anything, just go along with what I say. Yeah, guilty. So if the Chinese are not willing, and look, don't take this as me
not liking Chinese people. That's untrue. There are over 500,000 Chinese Australians, and they're great people. It's not the Chinese people we're angry with at all. It's the Chinese government.
Cat fight.
It will happen. I think you'll see, VMAC, a different COAG meeting, which is Commonwealth Heads of States. It will be looking at this very issue very carefully. And they'll be looking at things that maybe, say, Australia gets from China, and then someone from Canada will say, well, actually, we can produce those. It's going to cost you a little bit more. We say, how much more? You say, about 20% more. All right, we'll get that stuff from Canada. That's how it's going to go. There's going to be an alliance between Commonwealth countries based on products that we need, buy, or generally just for fun buy them. We'll be trading with each other in a big way. The reliance on one big country to provide you all the intricacies and all the bits and pieces is coming to an end. Yeah, like I say, I've got Chinese Australians that are furious with the Chinese government. Imagine being someone from China who migrated here 30, 40 years ago, built up as much as you could, grew the family and got a bit of wealth and loved the country. And then watch your old country turn around and threaten your new country because you're not towing the line. There's a very good reason why some Chinese people come to Australia. It's to get away from China. Anyway, without me being involved, that's going to unfold. Trade between Commonwealth countries is going to increase and reduce the reliance of getting products from China. Why is that punishment? No, it's not. It's a reality. It's a case of, okay, so now Australia trades with 40 more countries. There's 40 more eggs in different baskets, which means there's a diversity. There is a price increase. We're fully aware of that. But what it means is that we're not going to be reliant on someone pulling the plug on us, saying we threaten not to buy your beef or your wine or your seafood. We say, okay, yeah, shove it up your ass. We'll sell it to someone else. I know who will come up like Oliver Twist in 5 to 10 years with a bowl in front of them. It will have the People's Republic of China on that bowl saying, please, sir, can I have some more? And there won't be any more. Showing their colours like they have done to Australia was really about scaring a smaller nation and watching all the bigger nations watch what China do. This huge mistake, an absolute monstrous mistake. Oh yeah, look, there's a lot of countries within the Commonwealth, as we know, VMAC, that wouldn't have much to sell anyway. But there are major players within the Commonwealth who do. So there will be a lot of Commonwealth countries that we still won't trade with because they have nothing to trade. But there are a lot of major Commonwealth countries that do and don't trade with each other to the full extent as they do now. So that will happen. It's one of the first platforms that I see opening up. And you may not have seen it, but this is a side issue, but it's a very real one. A Chinese operative spy in Australia has turned evidence against the Chinese government on how they operate, who's doing the influencing, how they wanted to elect a Chinese spy to our parliament. I'm not kidding you. If you type in 60 minutes and look, just type in China and you'll see. It has unfolded names, places, how their actions are undertaken, how they've even influenced students within China to be activists like they did in Hong Kong. So brainwashing, if you like. That's only happened this weekend.
That's not going to help Chinese cause at all. We are likely, watch this space, we are likely to be deporting quite a lot of Chinese influential people from Australia real soon. I told you, there is only one loser in all of this. We'll recover financially, Australia. We'll bounce. We're very resilient. Imagine the Chinese government saying, yeah, we still want to buy gas, oil, copper, gold, seafood from Australia. And we say, nah, you can't have it because you've been an arsehole. Goodbye. We can leave the stuff in the ground until we're ready to sell it to someone else. We're just banking our wealth. Yeah, it's true. But like I say, if I lined up all the Chinese Australians I know, I couldn't say a bad word against them. They're hardworking, they're caring people. So you have to reflect on that and think, well, most of the people in China are probably hardworking, caring people, no different than here. Just that our government doesn't shoot us, and our government doesn't persecute us, and our government doesn't stop me saying things online, and my government won't hunt me down and my family. My government's not like China. Anyway, like I say, smarter men than me will decide what will happen. If China wants to play the bully, we all know how bullies end up. Yeah, that was always going to happen, Lee, mate. You're always going to get a reaction. I know there are people in Melbourne who got attacked physically, and they're Koreans, but they got Chinese-looking faces. So some buffheads decided to abuse them and attack them.
That's so wrong.
That's racism at its peak.
I know what that feels like, to be attacked for something that was beyond your control. You weren't even around when it happened.
I know one thing that is in the planning for airline international flights, and that is for companies to deal, and this is how I would approach it if I owned an airline. I'd be looking at countries that are pretty much got the virus under control, and you would be concentrating your holiday trips, say to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, wherever this thing is under control, and you will be reducing prices like you wouldn't imagine initially. Maybe flying from Canada to Australia will be like $1,500. That's what will happen. Would I travel to Kenya for $1,500? Yeah, sure, yeah. Spend, a few $1,000s in the country, enjoy my time there, come home. I'm pretty sure Canadians will do the same. Why? Because airline companies are smart. People have confidence to fly between these countries because they know that they've got things under control. They will do it.
It'll be a while before, if ever, we go to the US now.
I would definitely, our next holiday categorically will be probably New Zealand as a month's holiday or something. It won't be the US, not for a long time.
No.
Nothing against American people, but I will not travel to a country that has been run like that. Yeah, that's been happening here. There's been lots of cargo movements.
Man, the internet sales have gone through the roof, hey?
Well, what normally takes a week to get you is taking a month to get you now because
of,
demand.
yeah.
And I think one of the fundamental changes in each of our countries is how we do business. I think that will change.
more people will work at home. Cities will be less congested. I've got to tell you, Scarlett, you did right, but I also got to tell you they've been broke for 20 years. Well, we're keeping our borders closed between states. There is not a review by any state until the beginning of next month, and our state's saying, no, it's not happening next month. We'll look at it in maybe July, we'll have a look at it. And we don't have the virus floating around. It's being smart is what it is. Like I say, if you're overcautious and you never had to have been, that's okay. But you were cautious. Yeah, that's the bit that worries me, Scarlett, is that there is not a national plan. I don't mind a state in the US opening up in its state as long as their borders are closed. Makes no sense otherwise.
Yeah, it's the same, BMAC. Like an hour down the road, an hour and a half down the road, they have to go through checkpoints and have had downloaded
Document pass.
document pass and reasons why. Like an hour down the road, they can travel. An hour and a half down the road, they've got to go through checkpoints, coming and going.
Yeah, I just think it's smart, Scarlett. Let's say Kentucky has got on top of the virus and they're going, well, but states around them haven't really. So, well, open up Kentucky with caution.
Within the...
But don't open up the borders. Just keep everyone out. Only allow essential travel through the borders, i.e. food for supermarkets, whatever. But don't open the state to other people around you that have not got the virus under control. That is just stupid. A national plan should be at levels to suit the nation. If pockets are opened up and they're not under control and they are allowed to wander into different states, it's a recipe for disaster. But I'm not an American. I don't get to vote. I certainly don't get to decide, scream and shout in the streets. But geez, if I was, I'd be screaming and shouting about now. How about feed the people? Give them money. That's not happening. And that's wrong. That's why people are angry. If you're not getting fed, you've got 3 or 4 kids, husband's not working, no food in the cupboard, I'd be angry. For a very good reason. Why are you doing this to us? It's not as if no one in the US is hungry. I suppose everyone's getting fed, Scarlett, but it's how they're getting fed. Are they? I mean, I would have just simply increased the use of cards. What's that thing called? Food stamps. I would have issued every American a $1,000 credit on a card, food stamp card, for the whole period, whatever this took to do. So food is not an issue. I think there will be VMAC. Entry into Australia is not possible at the moment. And I think in the future, entry into Australia will come with conditions that have never been there before. And if you don't like those conditions, don't come. It's one of the strange facts the tourist industry has worked out. Australians travel everywhere in the world, trust me. We just love travelling. And they've already worked out Australians spend as much elsewhere in the world than tourists spend coming to Australia. Okay, so it works out on a balance. But what happens during this time is Australians will spend more money in Australia. Our tourist industry will pick up. Well, I'm pretty sure that if you've got a social security number, Scarlett, I could post you a card that says for each month until the pandemic is over, there is $1,000 credit going into that card on the 1st of each month. I don't see that being difficult at all. I've got your name. I've got your social security card number. I just pump money onto it. Pretty easy, really. Like I say, every Australian who's lost their job here, that may or may not get their job back, is getting $3,500 a month per person. And I can feed a family of 4 for about $200 a month. So no one's going hungry. People are paying their bills. Is the country going into debt because of it? Yep. But what's more important? People or money? Oh no, there's a simple way of doing that, Scarlett, is that you can only spend X amount per week. If you went in with a card I issued you as the new leader of the United States, it says $1,000, but it is $250 a week. So you can't spend any more. So you still have to budget, work within your means. No, that's one of the problems I'm seeing in the US is in fact manufacturing of primary products, food, pigs, bacon, has been limited because of the increasement of the virus. That doesn't tell you something about going back too early. Nothing will. They did something during the Second World War in the US, and they did it in Australia, and they did it in the UK. When things became tough, all these unemployed people were put in production of a food army. That could be done. How many people have had the virus in the US? Okay, we've got 200,000 people that have been fixed and cleared. And fit and healthy, we can send them out to work in the food army. A bit like conscription, I suppose, but it's a time of war, if you like. There are many ways to skin a cat, but not giving your people money or hope or not letting them work, they are going to get angry. It's been the downfall of what I've seen in the US in particular. They're not the only country that's done this. I know people in the US that are still waiting for their first $1,200 check, even though there is talk of another one. How many months has it been? Yeah, it's about 7% of people that can work from home. That's the global information and data. About 7%, which is a lot of people, better than not working. Our stores are full.
Yeah, it was just a problem with toilet paper.
That's gone. We've got
Tissue
more toilet
stuff.
paper than you can imagine now.
Yeah. Except the brand we buy is not coming, has been slow to come back, but
Well, America, like Canada, like Australia, are net producers of food. We only eat 25% of what we produce. We will never go hungry here. There's not one primary producer in Australia who has stopped working. They've all been working. And they've changed their methods of delivery to suit social distancing. They've rescheduled when and where abattoirs do things. So you can sort things out. It's the simple fact that some of the places that are starting to show problems is a lot of people working in a small area, and it's got nothing to do with producing food. It's got to do with the people working in a small area together.
We never threw thousands of gallons of milk out.
No, that's not happened here. I'd just like to say one of the failings I've seen in the US, and I'm outside the US, and I've seen from the outside, is there has not been a national response to this at all. There has been bickering between federal and states. There's been this accused and that blame, and what's the point of all that? That doesn't achieve anything. We have a national response here, and we have a state-driven opening. In other words, everyone knows the rules on when and why you can reopen certain things because you reach certain levels. But it's a national response. There is no blame game going on. We have a national cabinet, which is the federal government and all the state governments working together. They have meetings every day. Yeah, I do know we have, and you have them too, VMAC, in a big way. We have farmers markets. And lots of primary producers of chicken, pork, beef, you name it. They'll go to their markets with the refrigerated vans of fresh food, and they sell out at our food markets. They're probably slightly higher than buying from a supermarket, which is okay. You're getting a great product from the farmer. Nothing wrong with that. That's how it used to be. You know, if I lived next to Scarlett and said, well, what could I do with a couple of dozen eggs a week? What can I trade you with? She'd say, well, I do notice you have strawberries and garlic seeds. And I said, all right, let's work out a deal. There's no money changing hands. That's how it used to be as well. And even people would do it in kind. In other words, I'd come and work on Scarlett's property for, say, 3 weeks. We get everything we need to get done, fix the fences, whatever. And then Scarlett comes and works with me for about 3 weeks picking strawberries and garlic. No money changes hands, just time. But they do say time is money. But it's not just been only in Canada, the US. Australia had one outbreak in a Melbourne meat factory, and they determined quite early on it's the proximities of people working next to each other. It's the mist. If you've ever worked in a meatworks, you know there's a steam and a mist going around the place all the time. It's to clean and sterilise. Unfortunately, if you're sneezing and coughing, that's going through the air as well. That's how it works, Scarlett. No money's changing hands. Does you realise that you're going to use a bowl? Come here, son.
Oh.
All done. 30 seconds. Oh, I didn't want the bowl haircut. Don't complain, son.
It's going and come again. Well, I've got to sit.
All right.
Different.
Yep, we'll toodle off in a sec.
For the past 2 days.
But we will change the way we do business. There's no question about that. Maybe, lots of regional areas get back to supporting their local produce by buying it at local markets instead of going to a big supermarket.
Bowl haircut, yeah.
You could say to the guy, hey, it's cheap, but it's not fancy. And there are some countries that I'm just flabbergasted. The Brazilian leader says, what's your worrying about? No worries, mate. People die every day. Don't worry about it. Get on with the job. And they're burying them in their thousands. Woohoo! Just take a picture of your purple streak and put it on as your icon. We'll know who you are.
Yeah, what size bowl?
Yep, you get a choice, son. Salad bowl, which will make the job real quick. I've got this little tiny condiment bowl, which means you look a little bit like a reverse monk. You'll have a little bit of hair in the middle of your head. Uh-oh. She's going to have chocolate for Yahtzee. All right, good people. Good to catch up with you. We'll be maybe on in a few more days.
Yes. been a busy week for us, and especially last weekends and yesterday.
It's been good. Catching up with kids and grandkids. Having feasts of all types. German was the feast today. 10 degrees there. It is
Going to the beach.
15.7 degrees here. You're going to the beach. Yeah, right. See you, Tony. Have a good one, mate. Have a good one, Scarlett. Have a good one, VMAC, and anyone else that's lurking in the corner.
Workers.
FBI, Homeland Security. I know you're there. Yeah. Anyway, even you guys, have a good one. Be careful, be safe. When you can, be kind.